Hey friends, welcome back to the channel with another movie reaction. Today we are watching Forrest Gump. It won the poll over on Patreon and I'm excited to check it out. I don't know anything about this film other than there's a box of chocolates in there somewhere and I know the saying, run Forrest run. So that's pretty much it. I haven't seen Tom Hanks in too many films so far. I think I've definitely seen Castaway. I think I saw it after reading the book in high school. And obviously I've watched the Toy Story films where he plays Woody. Other than that, I don't think I know I've seen him in anything else. I've seen the trailer for Captain Phillips. I'm the captain now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, looking forward to checking this out. Let's get started. If you want to watch the full reaction or you want to catch movie reactions a week early, you can check out Patreon in the link in the description below. Come join our Discord for a discussion, all that good stuff. And let's go!
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I do remember the first time I heard the sweetest voice in the wide world.
You can sit here if you want. We're going to sit down, aren't you? I'm Jenny. I'm Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest! Run away! Hurry! Get the bus! Hurry up! Let's get it! Run, Forrest! Run! Run, Forrest!
Well, we know what the chocolates and the running is about already. Oh!
That day on, if I was going somewhere, I was running. He was always kissing and touching her and her sisters.
I was afraid it was some sort of abuse or other. But, goddamn.
Jenny and me was best friends all the way up through high school.
Aw, still? Football field? Onto the football field. Run, Forrest, run! The army.
Have you given any thought to your future?
No?
I didn't know who I might meet or what they might ask.
New friend.
You ever been on a real shrimp boat?
A what?
No.
What's your sole purpose in this army?
To do whatever you tell me, drill sergeant.
God damn it, Gump! You're a goddamn genius. Most out-
Her dream had come true.
She sleeps in the sand.
She was a folk singer.
Yes, and how many?
And punched.
Forrest, what are you doing here?
You can't keep doing this, Forrest. You can't keep trying to rescue me all the time.
They sending me to Vietnam. It's this whole other country.
Just, if you're ever in trouble, don't try to be brave. You just run, okay? Just run away.
Yeah, well, you call those sons of bitches.
Lieutenant Dan sure knew his stuff. Somebody in his family had fought and died in every single American war.
It's just him over and over again.
One day, it started raining, and it didn't quit for 4 months.
Oh.
We've got a very important question to ask you. How would you like to go into the shrimping business with me?
Bubba Gump.
Okay.
Okay.
Man, I tell you.
Just like that, somebody turned off the rain, and the sun come out.
Turned off. Oh!
I ran so far and so fast that pretty soon I was all by myself, which was a bad thing. Bubba. And on my way back to find Bubba, well, there was this boy laying on the ground. I couldn't just let him lay there all alone and scared the way he was. So I grabbed him up.
Is he just gonna go and get all of them?
Back looking for it felt like something just jumped up and bit me.
Bit you?
You stay here, goddammit! That's an order!
I gotta find Bubba!
If I'd have known this was going to be the last time me and Bubba was going to talk,
No.
I thought of something better to say. Hey, Bubba. Bubba was my best good friend. And even I know that ain't something you can find just around the corner.
And it's a different person now.
It was a bullet, wasn't it? That jumped up and bit you.
Oh, I think so.
Yes, sir. Bit me directly in the buttocks.
Oh. Oh, damn.
I should have died out there with my men, but now I'm nothing but a goddamn cripple. You cheated me. I had a destiny. I was supposed to die in the field.
Lieutenant Dan!
They gave you the Congressional Medal of Honor.
I stayed with Lieutenant Dan and celebrated the holidays. I made me a promise to Bubba in Vietnam that as soon as the war was over, we'd go in partners. He'd be the captain of the shrimp boat and I'd be his first mate.
First mate, Lieutenant Dan? Anyone? No? She's really having
Now, I hadn't heard from Jenny
an experience, isn't she?
but I thought about her a lot.
Hey, first mate! Oh! What about your boat?
Biola Battery's entire shipping industry has fallen victim to Carmen and has been left in utter ruin. In fact, only one shrimping boat actually survived.
What?
After that, shrimping was easy.
After that ship, oh my god.
Bubba Gump Shrimp's what they got.
Are you telling me you're the owner of the Bubba Gump Shrimp Corporation?
We got more money than Davy Crockett.
We're sitting next to a millionaire.
You don't believe him.
I never thanked you for saving my life.
He never actually said so. But I think he made his peace with God.
Forrest had a phone call.
Yeah, well, you'll have to tell them to call him back.
Mama said.
You're gonna swim? Oh, you're gonna swim.
Hi, Forrest. I'm dying, Forrest. Life is a box of chocolates, Forrest. You never know what you're gonna get.
Mama always had a way of explaining things so I could understand them. Didn't you say you were waiting for the number 7 bus?
There'll be another one along shortly.
Aww.
I never went back to work for Lieutenant Dan. He got me invested in some kind of fruit company.
Apple!
And then she was there.
This is her home.
Sometimes I guess there just aren't enough rocks. Will you marry me?
You don't want to marry me.
I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. Jenny.
You're leaving? He doesn't even know she left yet. Oh.
That day, for no particular reason, I decided to go for a little run.
And so, you just ran.
Yeah.
For more than 2 years now, a man named Forrest Gump, a gardener from Greenbow, Alabama, stopping only to sleep, has been running across America.
I had run for 3 years, 2 months, 14 days, and 16 hours. I'm pretty tired. Think I'll go home now. One day, out of blue, clear sky, I got a letter from Jenny, wondering if I could come down to Savannah and see her, and that's what I'm doing here.
Henry Street is just 5 or 6 blocks. Down that way.
I'm a running.
Down that way.
Hey! Forrest! I named him after his daddy.
Did you
You
now?
got a daddy named Forrest, too?
You're his daddy, Forrest. Isn't he beautiful?
It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. He's smart.
He's very smart.
Oh my God.
Smartest in his class. Would you marry me, Forrest?
Hello, Forrest. You got new legs. New legs.
I love you.
You died on a Saturday morning. And I don't know if we each have a destiny or if we're all just floating around accidental like on a breeze. I think. Maybe it's both. My favorite.
The feather. The feather!
I want to tell you I love you.
I love you too, Daddy.
I'll be right here when you get back.
This was such a ride. I can't believe it. Alright, so I'm glad that I finally was able to watch this film. It's been on the Patreon polls for quite some time. Speaking of Patreon polls, we do one every month for upcoming movies, and the December Christmas movie poll is up. I'm putting it up at around noon on the 6th, and it'll go until the 20th of November. So we have A Christmas Story, Scrooge, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I know there are several versions, and if it wins, we'll do a subsequent poll to decide which one. And Home Alone. Quick caveat about that, I have seen bits and pieces of Home Alone on TV when I was a toddler, but I've never watched the movie in its entirety. So yeah, go check out Patreon if you want to vote on the movie. I'll watch next. But yeah, thank you for Danny. Thank you to Danny for editing this film. And yeah, let's get back into talking about Forrest Gump. It was a very beautiful and also happy, sad film. And I feel conflicted about the film in some ways too. The whole setup of Forrest sitting at the bus stop telling the stories adds a lot of charm to the film. Like, he's telling these stories, some people are barely listening, some people don't believe what he's saying, and I don't think Forrest can actually read social cues well enough to realize that they might not be interested or might not believe what he's saying. He just wants to talk and doesn't care if anyone's listening. It might be the latter. Maybe he just needs some time to distract himself from the meeting with Jenny that's about to happen. Yeah, and what a story he tells, though. He's there for so many of the important historical and cultural moments, and yet he has close to no clue about what's going on exactly. He met so many presidents. He told John F. Kennedy that he really needed to pee. He taught Elvis that iconic dance move, being present at George Wallace's segregation speech. Sorry I had a fight in the middle of your Black Panther party. Holy crap, that was really funny. That anti-war speech he gave, where it was just unplugged, so we don't know what he said at all. And then making money when Lieutenant Dan invests for him in a fruit company. So a lot of really funny and hilarious moments that tied to actual history. And there were so many ridiculous and great moments on his journey. It's still all underscored by the fact that even though he lives this great life, he suffers quite a lot. And I felt bad for him at many points throughout the movie where he was just missing context. He doesn't realize that Jenny's father is abusing her. Like, he even said her father was like a very loving man, always kissing and touching her and her sister, which, oh, that was really hard to hear. Just being blind to that. And then in LA, when he finds her completely naked playing guitar for everybody, he thinks she's finally accomplished her dream of becoming a star. I mean, I don't know. It was really hard to watch him think that way, because it's not just a simple misunderstanding that hurts nobody. Because I'm guessing one of the big reasons Jenny didn't want to be with him in the beginning is because, not in the beginning, throughout part of her life, was because he didn't fully understand her. How could she possibly be with someone who didn't understand the worst moments in her life? And I don't know, so many sad and poignant moments in this film. The mom and everything she's willing to sacrifice to help Forrest attain the best life that he can, bribing that principal with sex to get Forrest accepted into school. That was really hard to see. And her death scene, Forrest was obviously completely broken up about that. Some really sad moments. They introduced Bubba, and he was like super into shrimp, and I was like, wait, Bubba Gump? Like Bubba Gump shrimp? Because I've obviously heard of Bubba Gump shrimp before in real life, and I was like, wait, did they make up an origin story for Bubba Gump shrimp? Like, how could the real owners be okay with that? And it wasn't until after I finished watching the movie and I looked it up that I found out that Bubba Gump shrimp only came into existence after this movie as a tribute to this movie, which just completely blew my mind. What the heck? That's really, really great and really interesting. But yeah, Bubba died too. Forrest went in to try to get him out, which he did, but got shot in the buttocks, and Bubba died. Lieutenant Dan also lost his legs there. Forrest Gump saved him in Vietnam, making him the first in his family for a while to survive a war. And then, yeah, he was just a broken man. And he clearly harbored some resentment towards Forrest. But that, I think it was a New Year's party. Those women were trying to, I mean, those women, they were there for a good time, and Forrest wasn't ready for that, and they called him stupid or dumb or something, and Lieutenant Dan just got so angry because he owed a lot. He didn't realize it yet, but he felt like he owed a lot to Forrest Gump. He was just a pure person, and he didn't want people looking down on him like that. And then Forrest brings him back from the brink on that shrimp boat. He saved that man's life in more ways than one. And they invested in the fruit company together. And then, yeah, Jenny. Oh, she is such a horribly... It's so horrible, all of the things that happened to her, and she's a wonderfully complicated character. I'll admit, when I was first watching the film, there were moments where I was extremely wary of her. But the more I thought about it afterwards, the more I empathized with her. And she clearly loved Forrest, but first, she was constantly sexually abused as a child. It messes up her perception of love and her feelings of self-worth. I'm sure we see her be with people who also abuse her, and I mean, it's possible she doesn't think she deserves better. That was my first thought about why she didn't stick around. And that's a possible reason why she chose not to be with Forrest. She was stuck in a bad place with drugs and everything, nearly committed suicide, and she just wasn't dealt a fair hand in life. And actually, secondly, and perhaps even more importantly, like I mentioned before, Forrest can't even empathize with her on a very basic level. Like, again, when he was telling that story at the bus stop, he said her father loved her and her sister very much, always kissing and touching them. And I want to believe he didn't think that abuse was actually a display of love, but I mean, he was obviously never there to witness it. I don't know. It's just a sad situation. And if you think about it from her point of view, if you were in her shoes, how difficult would it be for you to be with someone who doesn't understand the trauma you've gone through, even the slightest bit? When they come upon her old house, when they're older, when she comes to Forrest, Forrest probably doesn't even understand why she started throwing things at it. So could you really choose to be with someone who doesn't understand you on a fundamental level? Because he can't accept her for who she is, because he doesn't understand who she is. I don't know. It's really rough. I empathize with her completely about. I mean, she tried her best to also push Forrest away because she clearly loved him, but knew she couldn't be with him. And I don't know. There were times when she was rather mean about trying to push him away, but it felt almost necessary because she didn't want to. There were so many reasons why she thought she couldn't be with him. One, she didn't think she was good enough for him because self-worth issues. Two, possibly because he is such a lower IQ person, she might feel like she's taking advantage of him because like I said, he doesn't really understand her, so she can't. So his idea of her is like this perfect woman, and she knows she's not perfect. So she thinks she's possibly taking advantage of him by being with him. That could be a possibility. There's just so many things that must be going through her mind, and I understand how difficult it must have been for her. His love for her was so innocent. It's almost like he's perpetually a child. That's what it is, because that's what creates like a power dynamic between their, that does unbalanced power dynamic. And yeah, it especially probably felt like hard not to feel like she was taking advantage of him, especially since her life was falling apart and he became like astronomically rich. So I understand. And it's also why she didn't reach out to him after she found out she was pregnant. There was some shame there and guilt for sure for causing Forrest more pain. And maybe I'm being a little bit too charitable with my reading of her as a character, but she must have felt like she took advantage of him back then at his home and didn't want to do that again. She wanted to work on herself and feel like she was worthy of love, of everything before she reached out, but she got sick and she had to reach out for the sake of their son. It was a while before I fully trusted her too. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop for a while. I was like, are they really like in love and getting together? Are they getting married? I was like, is this for real? Is this relationship for real? And I thought that up until the very moment that we found out she died. I didn't know that her sickness was that severe. And it was heartbreaking because no matter what Forrest did, no matter how much he accomplished, the only thing that would make him completely happy was just being with Jenny. And then he was happy for such a short time before she was taken from him. So we see him struggle so much and just want some sort of happiness for him, and that's taken away from him. He does have a son now, which is a different kind of joy. It's a part of her that lives on. So again, happy, sad movie that's beautiful. But yeah, definitely a lot of poignant moments in the film. One more that I'll get to in a bit. But this entire movie, I don't know, I enjoyed watching the film, but when I take some time to think about it deeper, I'm not so sure I agree with too much of the messaging. Like, I don't think it was intentional messaging on behalf of the directors or anything. Because the way any movie hits you really depends on where you're coming from. But I feel like that's especially true for this film. I feel like some people might look at this like, oh, Forrest isn't smart, but he still had a successful life, became rich, eventually got together with the love of his life, has a son that he loves. They might think Forrest Gump's story is inspirational on some level, and in a sense it is, but he's also like sadly oblivious to so much that happens in the world and even to his own actions. And because of that, I don't find him to be truly someone you should totally aspire to. I mean, it's a very interesting story for sure, and he's not ill-willed at all. He's got a huge heart. He took half of the earnings from Bubba Gump's the shrimp business and gave it to his Bubba Gump's family, Bubba's family. I forgot it. Bubba's family, right? But he just, I think he's put in a position. Forrest is put in a position of influence through just lucking into situations and his God-given ability to run, Forrest, run. He rubs shoulders with so many presidents and doesn't know anything about them other than they're very important people. I think he was essentially involved in Watergate. Super funny. And he finds himself at the anti-war protest, has a chance to speak, doesn't even know what the situation is. And it's like he's not ill-willed, he's not racist, but he doesn't see color, which in itself is a problem, because not seeing color is not acknowledging the differences that in the way our society treats different people. Like, he doesn't understand racial relations, doesn't understand what it means to be descended from the KKK. And again, none of this is his fault. I'm not saying he's a bad person in any way, but he serves as the hero of this story while being completely apolitical. And I know some people will think, oh, like, this is someone to be, like, he's aspirational to be apolitical after watching this film. But being apolitical in a world where people are being marginalized and suffering so much isn't right. And he doesn't understand the plight of people of color. He doesn't understand the consequences of the war he fought in. He's not able to have empathy in situations he doesn't understand, like I mentioned with Jenny. And I think I feel like I want to harp on this because even though it's not the intention of the directors or anybody else, there are plenty of people with completely fine IQs, 100 or above, who make the same mistakes he does. Like, they say I know some very smart people who are apolitical and just totally lacking in compassion. So he has that in spades. He has compassion in spades, but you need both. You need to be smart and you need to have compassion. Although only those two together can you really start making more changes. And I worry about the messaging of this film because I do know that a lot of people will watch this and feel like it's okay to be apolitical, even though they have the intelligence to not be. There will be people who feel like the lack of understanding that he offers to Jenny, through no fault of his own, is okay in relationships, because I see plenty of people, very, very smart people, who treat women like shit. Again, 100% not saying he's a bad person, but I do worry because I hold the belief very strongly that if you see oppression and injustice happening and you do nothing about it, you're complicit. But again, he doesn't see it, or if he does, he doesn't understand it, so I can't blame him at all. I keep re-emphasizing the fact that I 100% do not blame him. If it was somebody with average intelligence who was going through life just skating by, being apolitical in a world where people are oppressed is in itself political. If you have power and influence and you don't use it to fight injustice, that in itself is political. You're upholding the current political dynamic. So, yeah. I'm recording this around the time of the election, so that's got that on my mind. Actually, I'm recording this on 11/4, so we're in the middle of counting right now. And it's not his fault. And I don't know if the directors meant it in any particular way, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about how this movie, the messaging of this movie. But yeah, even he feels the weight of his low IQ. And so yeah, the most poignant part of the film is him finding out he has a son, and the first thing he does, first he's like, oh, you know somebody else named Forrest? Because she said he's named after his daddy. But then he asks Jenny if his son is like him, because he knows how much he's missing out on. He is a compassionate person, and he knows that he's missing out on so much more that he could have done to help people, I think. He knows what it's like to be teased mercilessly as well, to be looked down on. He knows on some level that Jenny would have been with him if he didn't have such a low IQ. So much of the world was beyond his grasp. And we can all understand that, I think. Whether we are victims of abuse, whether we are discriminated against because of our race, gender, sexual orientation, whether we grew up poor, a lot of us want to do more with our lives and help many more people, but are unable to find a way forward to do that. It could be lack of funds, educational barriers, the fact that many people have an economic boot on their throat and can only focus on feeding themselves and their families. It's just, we have all felt the desire for more, and that is something that can be really, I can really empathize with him. I think we can all really empathize with him, except for the most privileged of us. And so Forrest wants his son to have a better life than him. He wants his son to experience the world he wasn't able to experience. And it actually brings to mind a conversation with a friend I had recently, Stephanie, for those of you who have seen our reaction to Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, it's on the channel too. She asked me what qualities I'd want to pass down to my kids if I have kids. And assuming... Okay, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Assuming you can have some influence in your child's intelligence level, I did say that I wanted my child/children to be compassionate and smart. First one is important in being a good person, and I feel like the second one is just as important to be a good person, because first you have to not fall prey to a world that is constantly trying to misinform you. I don't want my kid going down some QAnon rabbit hole because I didn't try hard enough to develop their critical thinking skills. I don't want them becoming some Republican nutjob either. But compassion, intelligence are both needed because intelligence without compassion can be wielded as a weapon as well. There are other things I would definitely try to share with my kid or kids, but that's for another time. Anyway, I'm guessing this commentary will result in a ton of downvotes, but it's okay. Not entirely sure how I feel. I wasn't entirely sure how I felt about the movie. It's got its good and its emotionally provoking story, and I just said why I wasn't sure the messaging was of the film. So I think I'm going to give it an 8.25, though. I did thoroughly enjoy it while I was watching it. It's just it brings up a lot of thoughts about the movie as well. Holy crap, this commentary is 20 minutes. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to watch the full reaction, you can check out Patreon in the link in the description below. And yeah, the next movie in this month will be A Silent Voice, and it will come out on Patreon on the 20th and on YouTube on the 27th. So look forward to that. And we're only going to have 2 movies this month because Tenet was originally supposed to release in November, but got, well, it was estimated to release in November, but it's going to release in December. So we're doing 4 movies in December. So look forward to that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye, friends.